Good morning, Zachariah Jackson, BASA News. Well, you know, we're warming up. I mean, this is the fourth month, and the 11th month we'll be in New Jersey. We'll be choosing who's going to be the next Central Ward councilman. Councilwoman, sorry, that's right. So you're saying councilman and things, it's councilwoman. In fact, a few years ago I interviewed a congresswoman, you know.
Right.
And she said the same thing. So, you know, assemblywoman, you know, things of that nature. I'm here with Tammy Hollaway. Is that how I pronounce it?
Tammy Hollaway.
Okay. And you're running for Central Ward Councilwoman.
That's right. Councilwoman, yes, I am.
What make you, you know, throw yourself into this race politics? Is that what you normally do, or have you ever been like are you in politics or things like that, or what make you want to get out here and start battling?
So I have been very fortunate, first of all, to be raised by my mom and my dad, who migrated to Newark in the 1950s.
Okay.
My dad's family came first, and we're from Central Ward. That's where my family settled.
Okay.
I was born in St. Michael's Hospital.
Right down the street.
Right down the street. And my parents installed in me at a very young age the importance and the value of community.
Okay.
So that is the foundation for why I'm running, because I have developed different leadership opportunities and experiences within my own community, within my family, and so that's my foundation. Now, I did attend the University of Connecticut, and when I finished school, I came back home.
Sure.
And I studied politics.
All right.
At the University of Connecticut. And so I did always have this interest in government and how government operates. My jobs professionally, I started at Prudential. I'm very proud of
Prudential here in Newark.
Prudential. Well, so no, I served a few different locations. I ended up being one of the employees very early on. This was before the pandemic. Doing remote work. So I supported an office that was opened out in Arizona, Portland, Maine, and Newark, and Roseland.
Okay.
So
you've been around.
yeah, I've been around a little bit with Prudential, and but with Prudential is where I learned the importance of community service.
Okay.
Not just service, community service, but also business.
Okay.
So making that link and connection between a community and a business was instrumental at my start at Prudential.
Okay.
I was able to learn the competencies that I needed to understand how you need to function together in order to build the neighborhoods and the economic engine that you will need in order to sustain. I did 9 years at Prudential, and I left Prudential prepared.
Okay.
So after Prudential, I went to the New Jersey Department of Treasury.
Okay.
And in that role, that was kind of my first taste of government.
All right.
Okay, so I got to see internally in that role just how government agencies operate. I had the responsibility of doing oversight and risk management for statewide agencies. And so it was those opportunities where I looked at how the motor vehicle is operating and how we manage our fleet of vehicles across the state, and I was able to create solutions for making things more efficient and keeping people safe and optimizing our resources. So that interests me in a way that I was ready to expand. I did 5 years at the New Jersey Department of Treasury, and then I transferred over to the New Jersey Office of the Attorney General.
Okay.
And there, that was a little bit more of a side as an investigator doing enforcement and compliance reviews, inspections, and things like that. And so it falls under the umbrella of regulatory compliance.
Okay.
Very interesting job. It was probably one of my most exciting jobs.
Sure.
it put me into the business world in a different way by looking at what they're supposed to be doing, having that understanding of what they're supposed to do, and then how it all ties together to keep neighborhoods safe, keep the industry functioning in a healthy way.
Okay.
And I left the Office of the Attorney General, and then I went to the United States Department of Defense. And that's the bread. That was the bread and butter of my career. I ended up out assigned through the Department of Defense at the White House, and in that role, I did counterintelligence investigations and insider threat investigations.
Under what president at that time?
President Biden and Harris.
Oh,
Yes.
okay, recent then.
Yes.
Oh, wow.
Yep.
Okay.
So those experiences, to answer your question, are what shaped why Tammy Hollaway, why I'm prepared to do this job and represent the voices, the interests of the residents and visitors and businesses of the Central Ward.
Wow. Okay. Well, that's quite a resume and things of that nature. So now, have you been entwined in any political? Do you go to the political meetings down at City Hall and things of that nature, and throw your 2 cents in like the rest of the people do?
So I wouldn't call those political meetings. The politics tends to happen in rooms where people are not that are not public, right? And so yes, I'm not oblivious to those spaces of the political rooms and the political spaces. But what happens, and I'm assuming you're referring to City Council.
City Council.
I have been at City Council. I have presented to the comments to the City Council, but I am not. I don't present to the City Council as an activist. I present as a leader in my community.
Okay.
And so when there are issues that have directly impacted my community and my neighborhood, I have been very vocal and in organizing us as a community, and then presenting our position in a way that it's been impactful. Folks have to listen, and so we build our value by doing it in a way that we present. We are not always having an issue, and we try to find solutions sometimes outside of that process before we go. If you don't have any other options, you do need to create that record where you put it there.
Yes. Wow. Okay. So have you, during your time here in Newark, have you organized anything here? Have you organized like block parties or things of that nature, or has there been any specific issue that you stand for here, that you stand against? Things. How do you feel on that day?
So I am the president of my neighborhood association. So yes, I do. We do organizing monthly.
Okay.
In some capacity where we're focusing on community engagement, community development and building, and we do an annual block party.
Okay.
That's a really nice event where we kind of go a little non-traditional. In what you see at the other block parties, we typically will have a jazz band.
Okay. So the stars that community.
Right.
Organized.
Right.
That's what they called Barack Obama. They was getting on him years ago, calling him a community organizer. Well, America is built up of communities and stuff, so you have to reach in. So, what do you think now with Central Ward? Do you see Central Ward moving in a great way at this time? Do we have enough housing, and do we have enough schools and things of that nature? What do you think?
The short answer to that is we need both. We absolutely need new opportunities in the Central Ward. When I'm elected, right, I have already begun these conversations with strategic partners that are going to help us to build this out, what we really need. We have to focus on housing. Housing is a top priority, not just here in the Central Ward, it's across the nation. So I don't want to single us out as it's our problem. It's not a Central Ward problem, it is a national problem. And you probably could even say world problem. But here in the Central Ward, we have what we need to supply the housing that is necessary. I'm very proud to have been one of the ones to step out and be very vocal about home ownership.
Sure.
I believe still in home ownership. I know that for my family, I know for the families in my neighborhood, that ownership piece has been the foundation to sustaining our neighborhood.
Sure.
And for building at least a sustainability for folks economically,
Sure.
right? Having that, we're not really talking a lot about wealth generation, and I would like to remember that home ownership is one of those key things for Black families in particular that have contributed to growth for our families and wealth for our families. So I have supported one of the first projects in our neighborhood in decades that is going to offer home ownership condominium opportunities.
Wow, okay.
And I think it's a great start. I definitely am doing a lot of research and on the condominiums and co-op living.
Sure.
Because I think that they are an excellent way to get people in homes.
Sure.
To they're financially feasible to
Sure.
build, and it also creates that wraparound that folks need in terms of being able to build that equity for themselves.
Oh, okay. Wow.
Oh, I do want to address schools though too before we move on. School education, I hear it, I'm out here talking, this is one of the concerns of a lot of people.
Sure.
We have expanded in charters, and unfortunately it kind of seems to have decreased in a sense. It feels like the model of neighborhood schools. I don't know that we'll ever get back to neighborhood schools, because now we have to work with, we have to work with what we have on
Sure.
some level. But I think that there is absolutely plenty of space for us to make this thing better and make it feel like a community type school. A lot of the charters, they close at a certain time and they do not open to community type events.
Yes.
So
Yes.
I would like to see that change. I would like to see public charters are what they call them. I would like to see those schools start beginning to be a part of the communities that they actually are set up in. Most of them, the kids that go to their schools don't live in the neighborhoods that they go to school at. And that's part of the dilemma.
That's a big problem there.
Right. But we still can open those schools up, those buildings up, so that they can start beginning to be infused in some sort of way in the communities that they're set up in.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, in terms of jobs in this community, and I'm going to stick with the Central Ward, because I'm from the Central Ward. My family's been here forever, and I kind of think that what the Central Ward offers is suburban and city living. It's more of a business ward.
Right.
We sit on top of City Hall, basically. When I lived on Howard Street, when Mayor Gibson got elected, we walked down to City Hall that night. You understand? And because he was the first Black mayor and things of that nature. So Central Ward has been the ward that had Bambergers, if you remember Bambergers, Macy's, Bambergers in Macy's, and of course Orbach. So we had Haynes department store and things of that nature. And Prudential has been here forever, So we look at it. Central Ward is a very important ward. It's the ward that introduced us to Penn Station and things of that nature, where a lot of the other wards are more suburban. How do you balance that right there? How do you balance a ward like the Central Ward, because it's suburban, but then it's city too, it's urban also?
Right. So that goes back to why I said I even talked about my experience at Prudential, because it started right there where I understood how to infuse those two.
Okay.
It's important in the Central Ward that we create jobs. We have to be the driver for job creations across the city. It's going to expand out into the city across all wards once the Central Ward gets it right.
Yes.
And so in this campaign, and even before, a lot of the folks that do business in the Central Ward, they're familiar with me if they've done business in my neighborhood, because we were able to successfully develop a process where we partnered with businesses.
Okay.
And in that partnership, we are at the table to talk about how they're developing out. So one of the things that I've been doing so far on the campaign trail is, as I'm meeting with folks that are doing business in the Central Ward, I'm making it very important to them that I need job creation.
Sure.
And it needs to be not just job creation, payable wage. It has to be livable wage jobs.
Yes.
I understand that we also have the challenges of workforce development, and so they have to help us get these things. Our colleges and universities, NJIT is on board. They're a great partner with me, and NJIT is prepared and ready to jump in and help as they can. Our local developers that are developing housing, they've had these conversations with me in detail. They are ready to create spaces and opportunities where it will create new jobs, new opportunities, bring new people into the folks, and create payable wages where folks don't necessarily need the level of types of assistance that we sometimes now have to depend on just to make ends meet. And then the other piece to this, I think, is about technology.
Sure.
I would love to see, as a city, as a ward, that in the Central Ward, we are advancing how we do things. I want to create streamlined processes to make new development, new opportunities easier and simpler for our businesses.
Sure.
Where it's not that you have to come to your council member just to get anything started.
Sure,
right?
sure.
So, because now that we're talking about some things that take 6 months to maybe 2-3 years to happen,
Sure.
that if we create a streamlined process between the state and the city, right, where it works in sync, then a new project, you have an idea, you want to do something, you can get that done in 2 months. You know, you got the permits, and I'm talking about from end to end, where you started with your plan, you got all the approvals and permits that you need in a few months.
Yes.
If we invest in our technology and creating a streamlined process to do that. So, if elected, I want to make doing business in the Central Ward easier.
Sure.
I definitely want to have a robust business community. I want to have housing be developed that is suitable housing that fits the needs of different types of families.
Sure.
We absolutely have to accommodate senior housing that, particularly seniors that are raising children and grandchildren.
Which is a great deal today.
Yes.
In all communities.
Right. And I think that would also be a solution to some of the things and the complaints that I hear about coming from the actual senior buildings that we have now, because a lot of those seniors do have to bring in their grandchildren or their disabled family members that they're helping care for, and it's really not, it's taken away from that senior community.
Yes, it is. Yes, I've heard that right there.
Yes. And so I need those types of things for the business community to help us and partner with us, the city, to solve those problems.
Okay.
And that's, so I have a robust business plan. I'm calling it the Village Program. What I would like to see,
All right.
I would like to see folks from the community and the business community work together to create the neighborhoods that we want across the Central Ward.
Yes. Now, what are you running as an independent, or are you running as a Democrat, Republican? What are you running?
Well, in Newark, we have nonpartisan elections.
Okay.
So we don't have to run as anything. I'm running as Tammy Hollaway.
Okay.
I do have some affiliations with different organizations,
Sure.
and I am a member of the Central Ward Democratic Committee.
Okay. So on that date, what do you have the number yet, or the line? Do you have that?
No, so petitions are out and
Okay.
they're still ongoing. Petitions are not due until August.
Okay.
So ballot positions won't be assigned before
Okay.
the ballot portion of this is closed, and they have all of the candidates.
Well, until August, if people wanted to watch you, because today we're in a more visual thing today.
Mm-hmm.
If people want to watch what Tammy is doing to show that she would be that great leader in November for the Central Ward Councilwoman, is there a website or something like that they can go to just to see your actions, because the summer's coming?
Yes. So my website is www.therightwaywithholloway. So that's the word the right way with Holloway.com.
Okay.
And also I'm on social media. I have some literature you should be able to, hopefully you see some in your neighborhood soon. These are door hangers. This is all my personal information on here.
And they're beautiful too, thank you.
Thank you, thank you. All my personal information is on here. You can certainly, invite anyone to reach out to me anytime if you want to invite me to your neighborhood. But the best way to catch me is out in the community. So if you are outside and in different events and having things going on, I've got meetings lined up where I've been invited to some homeowners association meetings and tenant association meetings. I'm at those throughout the summer. And the best way, I guess, though, would really be to just tap into my website.
Okay. And is there a number that anyone can call you at?
Yes, my number, again, my personal number is 973-757-9773, and I welcome calls. I just ask that folks don't call me after 9 p.m. because
I'll call you 2 in the morning.
right, and don't call me before 6 a.m. because those are usually my hours where I'm off. But definitely reach out to me. I want to come and speak with you. I want to hear from you. I want to hear your voices. I want to hear your concerns, and then earn your votes on November 4th, 2025 for Tammy Hollaway for Central Ward Council.
All right, again, you heard it from Tammy Hollaway, Central Ward. This is Zachariah Jackson, BASA News. Goodbye.